You sent us this truly fascinating piece of analysis, making a pretty bold claim about one of the most anticipated cricket series of the year. Let's really dive in and unpack it.
Exactly. We're taking a deep dive into this argument that the 2025 Indian Test cricket team, the one led by Shubman Gill, might just be the strongest Indian side ever to tour England.
Ever. That's a big statement.
It is, and it's not just about whether they win or lose the series, it's more about a proposed fundamental shift in mindset and maybe even a new level of historical domination in those conditions.
Okay. And our mission today really is to pull out the most important nuggets from this material. It's a strong argument, very structured, making this specific case. So our goal is to give you, the listener, a shortcut to being well-informed on this exciting claim.
Yeah, with all the kind of surprising facts and the historical context, you'd want to understand it properly.
So let's get into the heart of it. The analysis we looked at really hinges on this idea that the 2025 team combines record-breaking individual brilliance, a genuinely balanced and versatile bowling attack, and what it calls unprecedented strategic domination, specifically in English conditions.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how the source immediately points to Shubman Gill's leadership as, well, a potential game changer.
How so?
Well, think about it. This is only his second test as captain, right? And he leads India to a record 336-run win at Edgbaston.
Edgbaston, where India hadn't won in, almost 60 years?
Exactly, 58 years of trying, 7 losses, 1 draw there before this. So that wasn't just any win. And it's his approach, that calm yet aggressive style. The analysis suggests it reflects a truly matured team.
Matured out?
A team that seems, utterly unshaken by English conditions or the crowds or the pressure. And that's a trait, frankly, we've rarely seen consistently from Indian sides playing away from home.
And the analysis had that fantastic quote, didn't it? Gill's captaincy feels like Kohli's intent with Dhoni's calm.
Yeah, that really sums it up.
That's quite a combination. What does that actually mean for the team on the field, though?
Well, that phrase, it isn't just catchy, right? It sort of encapsulates a tactical evolution. It means they seem willing to make those aggressive, attacking plays.
Right, the intent part.
Exactly. But they execute them with this unshakable composure that, minimizes the risk and actually converts pressure into performance. It suggests a team playing proactive cricket, but one that doesn't get rattled easily.
Which is maybe a fundamental shift in how India has historically navigated those tough away tours.
That's the argument being made, yes. A real change.
Okay, moving to the individual brilliance then. Gill himself. The analysis claims no other Indian captain or batter has dominated a test in England quite like he did at Edgbaston. Not even the greats like Tendulkar, Dravid, Kohli, or Gavaskar.
Well, look at the numbers from that match specifically. Gill's haul, 430 runs, a score of 269, and then 161. The source emphasizes this is the second highest match aggregate by any player in Test history, behind only Graham Gooch.
Second highest ever. Wow.
And crucially, this was the first time in history that an Indian player scored a double century and 150 plus in the same Test match. Anywhere.
So that kind of individual dominance, especially in English conditions, has been elusive for Indian greats until now.
Pretty much, yeah. To sustain it across both innings like that, it's remarkable.
But like you said, that individual brilliance, while absolutely stunning, it's only one piece of the puzzle, isn't it?
Definitely.
Because in England, maybe more than anywhere else, the bowling unit is just absolutely crucial. How does this side's attack compare to previous tours, according to the analysis?
It's argued to be quite possibly the most balanced Indian attack we've seen in England. I mean, consider Akash Deep taking 10 wickets at Edgbaston.
A huge performance.
And Mohammad Siraj picking up 6 wickets in that first innings alone. This shows their pace, stalks their depth, and fast bowling runs incredibly deep.
And this was even with Jasper Bumrah being rested for that match.
Right, exactly. That's a key point. It wasn't reliant on just one star. And even the spinners, like Ravindra Jadeja, they were able to keep the pressure on, apply control, even when the pitch wasn't offering them a lot of help.
So adaptability is key there.
It's a hallmark of a top-tier unit, definitely. Their ability to take 20 English wickets on what was actually considered a pretty batting-friendly pitch. Oh, that really highlights that depth and tactical intelligence.
And you're saying that's a contrast to earlier tours?
Yeah, a stark contrast sometimes. Think back to tours where India often relied very heavily on just 1 or 2 main bowlers, their spearheads. Like Zahir Khan in 2007 maybe, or even Bumrah himself in 2021. This feels broader.
Okay, so beyond the impressive stats, the runs, the wickets, the standout performances, what's the bigger picture here? The analysis really connects all of this to a broader psychological shift.
Right.
Indian teams, historically, have often struggled in England. It's not just the swinging Duke's ball or the cloudy conditions, but what the material describes as psychological baggage. How is this side different?
Well, if we connect this to that bigger picture, this team seems to have actively, almost deliberately defied those historical struggles.
How so? Give us an example.
Okay, the key example highlighted is that choice. This side chose to bat first on a green-looking Edgbaston pitch.
Which sounds risky for a touring side in England.
Exactly. In the past, that might have been almost unthinkable for an Indian team away from home, but they did it, piled up over 600 runs, and then bowled England out twice.
That's a statement, isn't it?
It's a statement of absolute confidence, maybe even no fear. The source contrasts this with past successful sides, 1971, 2007, 2021. They all had their flashes of brilliance, moments of greatness.
But this feels different.
This team, the argument goes, looks built to dominate over 5 tests, not just compete. And that quote from The Guardian after Edgbaston kind of nailed it. India played like hosts, not visitors.
India played like hosts, not visitors. That's a powerful observation. What else, maybe beyond just choosing to bat first, reinforces that feeling for the analysis? Are there other sort of subtle cues it points to?
It is subtle, yeah, but important. The source mentions things like the sustained energy they showed in the field, the body language, even how quickly they seem to adapt to changing conditions mid-match.
So more proactive.
Exactly. There's a confidence that seems to permeate the entire squad, not just the captain or the star players. It implies a deeper belief in their collective ability, maybe, rather than just relying on individual moments of brilliance.
That deeper collective belief sounds key. Okay, so how does this team really stack up against the best Indian sides of the past in England when we look hard at the historical context?
Well, the comparative info in the analysis really reinforces the argument. You look back, 1971, India won 1-0, historic first series win there.
Right, watershed moment.
Absolutely. Then 2007, they won 1-0 again, largely driven by fantastic bowling, Zahir Khan especially.
Another great tour.
Then 2021, they were leading 2-1, but the series was unfinished due to COVID issues. So strong, but ultimately incomplete. Now, jump to 2025. This series is currently tied 1-1 with 3 tests still to go. But it's marked by that dominant Edgbaston win and those, frankly, record-breaking individual feats we talked about.
So the core argument from this analysis is?
It's pretty clear. The 2025 team has already demonstrated more individual brilliance, deeper squad strength, and greater dominance in a single test than any prior Indian team in England. That's the claim.
And it's really important to remember, isn't it, the series isn't actually over yet.
Not at all. 3 huge matches to go.
And India arguably has the momentum right now.
They certainly do. And think about the potential history here. If they win, or even manage to draw the series from this point,
What would it mean?
it would secure only India's 4th series win in England, ever.
Only the 4th. Wow.
Yeah. And, get this, if they manage to win another test, say at Lord's or the Oval, they would become the first Indian side ever to win multiple tests in a single England tour.
That would be truly significant, wouldn't it?
A massive historical achievement puts this tour in a completely different category.
Okay, so let's try and wrap up the core conclusion from the analysis we've dived into today. The 2025 Indian cricket team, under Shubman Gill, has already achieved something pretty special, something perhaps no other Indian team has quite managed before.
Which is
Dominating both statistically and psychologically in England, at least in that Edgbaston test. Their talent, their depth, their strategic approach, and this undeniable fearlessness. It firmly places them, according to this analysis anyway, as arguably the best Indian side ever to tour England.
And this really raises an important question for all of us watching, doesn't it? If this team, if this performance truly represents a fundamental shift in how Indian cricket approaches touring England, what does that actually mean for their legacy?
Beyond just this series.
Yeah, exactly. Not just for this series win or loss, but for future generations of Indian cricketers and, their aspirations on the world stage. It makes you wonder, what stands out most to you from this deep dive?